Hello everybody, and welcome to the Online Sociologist. I'm Ryan. In this video, we're going to continue our deep dive into the work of Georg Simmel, using the 1950 collection, The Sociology of Georg Simmel, which was edited and translated by Kurt Wolff. And today we're going to move back in the book. We're going to go back to chapter 2, which is entitled The Social and Individual Level. And this is where Simmel explores how society doesn't hold together through harmony, but instead through tension between the group and the individual, the old and the new, and similarity and difference. These opposites aren't problems to solve. To Simmel, they're what makes society possible. So, if that kind of deep look at the mechanics of everyday life interests you, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Let's dive in. Imagine yourself alone, trying to make a decision. You go back and forth, you second guess yourself, and you really can't quite land on what to do. You're indecisive. But when you're in a group, such as a rally, a protest, or even a night out with friends, that hesitation seemingly disappears, and suddenly you're able to act with confidence. What changed? Simmel says that this isn't random. When we join a group, we stop relying so much on our private doubts or personal values. Instead, we fall back on what he calls the ethical minimum, which is the most basic norms that keeps a group together. These are things like safety, loyalty, belonging, and power. He writes that, quote, "The norms adequate to secure the continuation of the group constitutes a bare minimum for the external existence of the individual as a social being," unquote. In other words, collective action feels fast and decisive because it's built on shared instincts, not deep reflection. And this brings Simmel to one of his main ideas in the chapter, that each of us lives with two layers. The first layer is the one that we all share. It's made up of the instincts, habits, and traditions passed down through generations. These are the parts of us that are older, steadier, and most alike. They're what makes group life possible. The things that let us move together, feel together, and see ourselves as part of something larger. The second layer is more individual. It's built from the newer and more personal parts of life. This is our creativity, our judgments, our private ways of seeing things. These are what makes us distinct, but also they're fragile. When we join a group, they often fade into the background. That's why group life so often expresses itself through shared emotions, such as chanting, singing, dancing, mourning, celebrating. These are gestures from that older collective layer. They feel powerful because they're deeply shared. Simmel then takes this same logic, which is the pull between what's collective and what's individual, and he applies it to how we make meaning. He says we tend to admire both what's old and what's new, but for opposite reasons. The old draws strength from being shared, from tradition, from the sense that it stood the test of time. That's why old customs or long-standing institutions feel natural and stable. But the new gains its meaning precisely because it's rare. It stands out. It feels alive and original because it hasn't yet been absorbed into the group. And we see the same tension at work in our relationships too, and the balance between similarity and difference. Similarity lets people coordinate and cooperate without thinking about it. It's why strangers can form a line at the airport without talking, or why fans at a game cheer in sync. It gives stability. But difference gives us energy. It's what makes rivalries exciting, what keeps conversations interesting, what helps us feel like individuals. As Simmel puts it, quote, "Each individual feels his own significance only by contrasting himself with others," unquote. So we need similarity to belong, but we need difference to be seen. And this is Simmel's broader point, that social life runs on this constant back and forth between the old and the new, the shared and the distinct, the stable and the dynamic. Society doesn't work by resolving those opposites. It works because they exist. The group gives us connection. The individual gives us creativity. And it's the tension between the two that keeps social life alive. So, when we step back, a clear pattern comes into focus. Simmel isn't just listing features of social life. He's tracing a structure built out of tension. These forces don't cancel each other out. They keep society alive. Group life simplifies, while individuality complicates. Tradition stabilizes, while innovation disrupts. Similarity allows for cooperation, while difference drives identity. For Simmel, tension isn't a flaw in society. Again, tension is what makes it work. All right, I want to thank you all for watching. And if you want to keep going deeper into how Simmel thinks about these social dynamics, stay tuned. We're going to explore the second half of this chapter in the next video. In the meantime, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below if something in this struck a chord with you. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.